Hello and welcome to Angular Air. This is going to be a really fun episode today. We've got two awesome people from ng-conf here, Aaron Frost.
What up?
And Joe Eames.
Hey everybody.
We're going to be talking all about ng-conf, what's going to happen, who's going to be there, what are we going to eat, and we're also having panelists.
Joe, the food, bro. We forgot the food.
Oh crap! Pack a lunch, Jeff. Pack a lunch.
Yeah.
Wait, man, I'm looking forward to the food.
Bring a water bottle.
Panelists Carmen Popopetru.
Hi.
And Olivier Cohn.
Hey guys.
Carmen and Olivier will also be there, so everybody, I'm sure, will have lots to talk about for both this upcoming ng-conf, and we're going to dive into some of our memories from previous ng-confs as well. But my first question to you guys, Aaron and Joe, are, how crazy is this final week before everything starts? Is it you have everything handled and you're basically just kicking it back, or is it like a mad rush house to finish up final things?
We mostly just started like this last week. We didn't really do anything until just this week. We just had a bunch of ideas and we're trying to make it all happen now.
Bunch of sticky notes.
Yep.
And hopefully we get people to help us get them working.
Yeah, not too many places you can order T-shirts from overnight.
Yeah.
No, this has been a crazy week. It's going to continue to be a crazy week, I'm sure.
Yeah. So the weekend should be crazy. This week's been crazier than all other weeks up until now. But I think relatively, it's probably not insane.
No, things are.
Will chill.
Yeah, now we're dealing with like little things like one speaker saying, "Hey, can you move me to a slightly different spot?" or little small requests right now.
Yeah. All the big decisions are made, like swag's done and ordered in here, and food, all the money you spend on food's already like budgeted and picked, and menus and timing, and that's all done. Flights, hotels, stuff, that's all done. It's just like what Joe's saying. It's the small things, making sure someone's coming in a day early, they might need a ride, or making sure someone needs to maybe take off a day early. We accommodate them that way, or stuff like that. Sponsors maybe wanting a last-minute booth, stuff like that.
Right.
It's really pretty.
Worried about trying to get ready this week? What's the thing that's still pending that has you worried at night?
The Faraday
for me,
Broadcast.
Yeah, the Faraday Broadcast is insane. So what that is, a lot of people who are going to be at ng-conf aren't really going to be super aware of what Joe just talked about. But for the thousands of people that are watching online through Extended, the Faraday Broadcast is a really big thing, because it's going to be, Faraday is going to be insane. Am I right, Joe? Like, I've never been to an event like Faraday.
Right.
I've been to something that lasted a few hours, but never an entire day, specifically around Angular, that's like so open and so much fun. But for those there, it's going to be super easy. You're just going to pick what you want to do, and then you're going to go do it. But for the people online who want to participate, how do we get them involved? How do we let them be part of the show? So we've hired like a whole camera crew, and we have like what's Gene's title?
Producer.
Producer, and
An
we've got two guys, an assistant producer. And we've got two guys who will be behind the camera, and I'll also help with the cameras.
Three cameras, 3 cameramen, not 2, 3.
Yeah, so three cameras, 3 like reporters or journalists, whatever you want to call them, and constantly reporting on different things, interviewing different speakers, showing different things from the event. So
you're gonna see Aaron a lot on there.
Yeah. So
Aaron's in charge of like the major. He's gonna be doing one of the major pieces.
One of the funner pieces.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of things for those thousands of people who aren't really gonna be able to participate conventionally, that we're trying to bring them in and let them see what the Angular Faraday's like.
Right.
Yeah, it makes
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I guess conceptually, it's still, I'm sure, one of these things when we get there and we're like, it's going to totally blow our minds or whatever, because it's not a normal thing for conferences, right, to do this type of thing. So how did this idea come about in the first place?
Well, we always did the extended thing where we invited everybody to watch the live stream. And, of course, plenty of conferences do a live stream, right? So that's nothing new, although Aaron was the genius who came up with this idea of, hey, let's not just have the live stream, but for people that want to get together in groups, let's have a whole extended thing where we want to make them as much as possible feel like they're part of ng-conf, even though they're not physically there. So last year, we did a ton with it. Aaron, maybe you could talk more about it.
Well, it's just an idea borrowed from Google, because they do Google I/O Extended every year. So we just borrowed the same idea. It's Angular, it's Google friendly, so we figured this crowd would like totally warm up to the idea of ng-conf Extended. So we just partner with organizers all over the world and try and answer whatever questions they need to make it awesome. We encourage them to go big, get sponsors, have T-shirts, food, stuff like that. So that's extended. But Faraday, I think Jeff wanted to know about Faraday, which at this point I'm pretty sure Joe is more familiar with than me.
Before we move on, do you happen to know what the count is for extended events this year?
I can check. Do you know? Are you like?
I'm looking at the map. The counting would be hard, but I would guess it's like between 70 and 100 different events. But
yeah,
it's hard to count.
Why don't you talk about Faraday and I'll look it up real quick.
So
you talk about Faraday and I'll look it up.
So Aaron, we've always wanted to done this extended thing where we want to involve people. But when we added Faraday, for a typical conference, you're just doing sessions all day long, right? And so that's an easy thing to we just broadcast that, live stream it. People can watch and they feel, they might as well be sitting in a seat they still get to watch everything live, see everything, get all the same talks. But on Faraday, we don't have that same option because there isn't sessions going on like that. We've got a bunch of workshops that are going on, but workshops are more hands-on. So to sit and watch a workshop, especially when they say, okay, go ahead and do this now and spend 15 minutes, and you can't because you may not have access to the same code or something, right? You can't ask questions. It's not quite the same. So we can't just broadcast just the workshops. And there's so many other things going on. We wanted people to get a real feel for everything that's going on and all the choices the attendees have to participate in. So then we thought, what would we broadcast on Faraday? And we decided what we want to do is kind of like, think of highlights shows from ESPN or something like that, where, maybe you didn't get to go to the game, but instead we're going to show you the things that were really interesting about what went on, so that you can get a feel. And we're going to be doing that. We're going to be interviewing a lot of speakers. Every speaker is going to get an interview. So they'll all get a couple of minutes on the stream where you'll get to talk to speakers. And for some of them, like the Angular team, we're going to do live Q&A sessions over Twitter. So people that are watching the stream can tweet out a question, and we'll have somebody that'll pick questions, and we'll pass it on and we'll have the Angular team on actually a bunch of different times in various groups, various pieces of the Angular team. We'll be showing a lot of the different fun activities that are going on, plus a lot of the educational activities that are going on as well. We've identified, every piece, we call it a segment. We have over 100 segments that we will be showing on this, so it's really like
100 on just that one day.
Yeah.
When you think about a segment, Jeff, how many 3-4 minute segments can you fit into 8 hours or 6 hours? How many hours is it, Joe? 8?
7.5. 8 with the keynote. Well, actually, no. 9 with the keynote.
Yeah, so you're talking about how many minutes is that? 7. So you're 560 minutes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you divide that by 100, and you're like 5.6 minutes a thing. Yeah. Some of these are going to take 15 minutes, like with the Angular team and stuff. Some of these are going to be quick 2-minute things. And so it's when you think about that size of video, it's pretty compact. You know what I'm saying? So everything is going to be high energy, and we're going to try and show off as many things as we can. But yeah, it's going to be intense.
We'll be showing stuff from our kids program, showing things from our party Wednesday night that won't be live streamed, or dinner, the food truck dinner, showing stuff from that, all kinds of stuff.
Speaker dinner.
Yeah. Speaker dinner.
I have a question. I have a question about this. So the people who are going to be watching, how do they know what you're going to live stream? Like, is there a schedule somewhere where they can find out, or how is that going to work for them?
We have our own schedule, but there's a lot of problems with publishing a schedule. First off, what if we got off the schedule for one reason or another? We don't want people to be too upset. With the sessions, it's a lot easier to really stick close to a schedule, and we're really tight about our schedule, our broadcast schedule. We get on, we get them on, and get them off. Yeah,
day 1 and 3,
normal sessions.
They're very, very strict and rigid,
yeah.
And so those ones are easy. It's the Faraday that's like, we don't want necessarily to have a schedule because some things may happen impromptu, like we might not know that there's a thing. Maybe Carmen starts rapping and building Lego castles. I'm going to get that on a thing, and we're going to show that because it wasn't planned. But so there's going to be a lot of like, who knows what's happening. Maybe we stuck Pascal upside down on the Velcro wall, right? Like everyone's going to want to see that. So there will be a lot of like just shooting from the hip, but we'll make sure that we get all the big bits that they're going to want to see, that they get all the interviews and the people they're going to want to talk to, and they see all the fun things because there's a lot of fun. There's things here that I've never seen or heard of at a conference. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Right.
Will you upload a video for the Faraday as well? Because I have like 4 things playing for this day, and I won't be able to participate much.
Yep. We are going to put everything up on YouTube for people to watch later on.
Awesome.
Yeah, Faraday will be up on YouTube. So,
including one of the highlights of our broadcast on Faraday, which is going to be Angular Air.
Yeah,
that's right. We'll have a live show there. And actually, we decided for this year, instead of doing like our normal like interview format, talking to some of the speakers, which I know you guys are going to do anyways with some of the interviews you have set up in the newsroom. So we're going to focus more on just talking to the actual participants, you know, the people, anybody who basically comes to the conference. We're going to, so definitely if you're listening to this, find me on the first day at the May the 4th be with you party. I'm going to be actively like looking for people, and same with Olivier and Carmen. Talk to them, and you know, people that we find who just want to kind of participate and talk with us. We're going to try to get as many people involved as possible.
Yeah.
So
we're excited for the Angular Air there.
Yeah. So
go ahead, Joe.
You're actually you said it's a live show. It's technically not live though. We're gonna pre-record you. Is this gonna be the first time that Angular Air won't be truly live?
It'll be actually be produced and cut up. Oh my gosh, that's a weird thought.
Yeah,
so
that should be pretty interesting.
Swear and do all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, we'll crop muscular bodies onto Joe and I. It will be cool.
No, we're not doing any editing. You're still going to be raw and unedited.
Oh, okay.
So if you swear all you want, we'll still show it.
Yeah. No, I mean, what we meant was we'll cut the swear words out.
Yeah. Go ahead. Throw them around.
Yeah, we'll cut it out.
For a lot of the other stuff you mentioned, you're going to bring in like all sorts of different pieces, these segments from throughout the day. But is that going to be like live, or are you going to have somebody in like some sort of control room, like I don't know, like the Oscars style, right, with all the different TVs to just kind of like pull it all together?
So Joe, Faraday we planned Faraday intentionally, okay? We knew we wanted something different and awesome and that people would never forget. So Faraday was very intentional. The unintentional part was going, oh, bloody hell. What about the live stream? We got to figure out what to do with the live stream. And so that was unintentional that we kind of spaced that. So we're like, okay, well, what can we do to go crazy? So the Sports Center, ESPN Sports Table where they interview, that was kind of like, okay, well, we'll do that. And we'll make sure that they get to see everything and everything. So there will be like a room. We're calling it the broadcast room. And so we'll have a whole room with a desk, and the producer will sit in there, and people, and like there will be so Dave Smith will be one of our people because everyone loves Dave Smith, right?
Okay.
I can't think of a person that doesn't like Dave Smith. I was
I'm
trying to
doing
come up
my
with
thumbs up right now.
Yeah. And then another guy who I'm not sure if everyone knows, he spoke year 1 ng-conf. His name's Tom Valletta, and he's absolutely hilarious too. So Tom and Dave are going to be like the 2 main guys that will be at that desk, and they'll also take turns going out into the conference, recording something, getting a clip, interviewing people or the presenters themselves, coming back and getting that clip put on air. So it's going to be like an all-day thing, very, very, very interactive for the live stream.
Right. So just a good mix of that. Like most speaker interviews will be live. The Angular team interviews, those will all be live and happen inside the room. And other stuff, there'll be cameras going out, gathering, taking video, and then we'll just throw it onto the stream.
Can we talk about the what's going to be in the secondary ballroom, the competition thing?
I think so. I think that's okay to talk about. But remember we can't use certain words.
We can't call it a thing. So there's going to be a robotic battle. So we've hired a team of guys who build fighting robots, and there's going to be a bracketed tournament, and it's like a plexiglass cage, just like you've seen on the internet or on television, and every bot will be named after a JavaScript library framework, and we're just going to see who wins. Maybe jQuery comes out. We've got most people are like betting hard on MooTools, but the GitHub people they bet all their money on Electron. So the odds in Vegas right now on the Electron bot is high.
Right.
But so is this something where you have like game controls and that type of thing, or are you actually programming the robots?
No, there's controllers.
No, so it's guys who professionally build these robots, and they're meant to kill another robot. And like they can shoot fire, or they can have a big swinging arm or a saw blade. Like they're intentionally there to kill other robots, and they're going to be the ones driving them. We're just like spectator sports, rooting for the Angular bot. But Joe and I, it's twisted. We're kind of, if the Angular bot wins, it's going to look like we rigged it. So we're kind of rooting for the Angular bot, kind of rooting against it, because we don't want to be called out for rigging it.
Right.
Honestly, the funniest thing, I mean, it wouldn't be funny, it'd be awesome. The best would be if the React bot wins. I think that would get everyone laughing. It would be hilarious, bro. I think it would be good for the communities to see if the React bot won the ng-conf robot tournament. So that's going to be one of the fun things that we're going to try and make sure we cover all the way at ng-conf.
And we've got like a live bracket that'll show how the bots are doing in the tournament. And we also are trying to hook together a thing where people can create their own brackets, and then we'll award a prize to the winner of the brackets. Have we found anything for that yet?
We haven't, but if we can find a thing that lets us put up a bracket and have people pick their own winners, and if we can get that, the winner with the most points will get a ticket to ng-conf next year.
Yeah.
So
if you happen to know something, tweet at us or whatever, any software where we can do our own custom brackets and let people then get on, just like, fantasy football. Not fantasy football, but like NCAA brackets, right?
I know a website for that. I give it to you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
So we talked a lot about Faraday. I want to cover, a couple different other things as well. Let's talk about the actual presentations, the first and third days of the conference. So, is there any particular theme that you guys went with this year for picking the talks? Can you talk a little bit about the selection process and?
Oh, it was brutal this year.
Well, yeah. How many people submitted? Like, tell me a little bit about it.
The highest ever, 174 or something. Do you remember the exact number, Aaron?
I can't remember. It was a lot.
Yeah.
I think it was higher than that when you consider all the Faraday and stuff like that.
I think it was over 200 with Faraday submissions. I think the talk submissions were 174. And because of Angular 2, where it's practically coming out, there were so many talks that we just kind of we needed a talk on this and a talk on this and a talk on this. We had to pick from a fairly limited selection. So when it came to talks on just about anything, we actually had a really small number of slots. So that was brutal, picking talks, because we wanted to, we needed a conference that was going to show, hey, I want to know about pipes, right? And I go onto YouTube and I Google pipes. Well, we want the ng-conf pipes talk to be the first talk that comes up on YouTube about pipes.
Yeah, it's super brutal. Like when you do the math on how long it takes to pick talks, so take 170 talks, and let's say that we just put 60 seconds on each talk just to go through it the first time to make sure we liked them, and to throw away the ones that were out in left field. So let's say we gave each talk 60 seconds. That's almost 3 hours right there, where we have to just go through and go the first round and get rid of like round 1 stuff. Then we mark favorites in there, we know that we have to have an Angular Universal talk. So Jeff Webley, boom, he goes straight to the end, right? And a very few people go straight to the end though, and we have to sit there and whittle down. Like maybe 2 or 3 talks went straight to the end. Am I right, Joe?
Yeah, probably 2
and
or 3.
And then a lot of what we get, and these would be awesome talks, but a lot of submissions, it's kind of overwhelming, is if they're lessons learned talks. They're, hey, we did Angular at my company, and this is the stuff we learned. So unfortunately, we don't pick those because those aren't always going to apply to everyone in the audience. And then we rule out things that are like very niche, like, hey, Angular with a Node backend. It's like, nah, not everyone has Node. Angular with .NET backend, not everyone has .NET.
Rails,
Angular on
we saw
Ruby,
Angular with Rails.
Angular Rails, not everyone has that. These are going to be very niche, very not for the whole community. We're going to have to rule those out. But then the people that target something very specific that's very powerful, like one guy's like, inline CSS in your Angular 2. And you're like, okay, everyone's going to write CSS like this. We're going to pick that talk. Or the pipes talk, right? And stuff like that. So it's hard to narrow it down, but we've, 3 years in, we've kind of got a method. It still takes hours, though.
Okay,
hours and hours.
6 to 8 hour session just to get it about 90% done. I think one of my favorites, the ones that jumped out at me was the forms talk. That one was one. Yeah. Deborah Carrata. It's only a text box. That was one of those ones that I wasn't thinking of, and I saw it, and I was like, wow, that's a talk we really need.
Yep, we're excited about Deborah's. I'm trying to think who was mine. John Papa's obviously sounded great. Angular 2 of Force Awakens. Yeah. So it's tough. It's tough. We hate to say no. We like to say yes. We wish we could say yes to more, which is why we added Faraday, and we got to say yes to a lot more people this year than we ever have. So it's been kind of cool.
So it sounds like the theme, though, is obviously Angular 2. You know, the release of Angular 2 is sometime soon. We don't know. Maybe we'll find out during ng-conf. That would be cool.
Yeah, we had to work hard to try to find some Angular 1 content to put in that was appropriate. I mean, obviously, we only had so many talks. The Angular team, their focus is on Angular 2, but we needed a few things about Angular 1, but just not too much. What's funny is last year we got a lot of feedback that there was too much Angular 2 content because Angular 2 wasn't, ready to be used. But now it's entirely different. Angular 2's we're right there at the cusp.
Yeah, it's on the doorstep of a release candidate. It's ready. Like if you started a big project today, it'd be general release by the time you shipped. So it's like time for us to really start talking about it. So there's a lot. You should expect a lot of Angular 2 at this year's ng-conf. Yeah. And there will be Angular 1 because Angular 1's kind of newish, right? And there's a ton of new changes in it that a lot of us haven't used yet. So we got Peter Bacon-Darwin to come and give us a killer components talk. And we've got a couple other Angular 1 talks. It's going to be a lot of fun, though. I think people will appreciate the balance, and it will help set the direction of where the community starts going. It will be a good conference.
It's funny, but I think Angular 1.5 is my favorite release of all the Angular 1 releases. I think it has the most useful, coolest stuff in it, and here it is at the tail end of Angular 1's.
I know.
You mean like the dot component and that type of thing?
Oh, yeah. I think component was something like, we needed this for so long. So many people doing, you put together a page, and you obviously start off with a controller and a template that aren't necessarily tied together, only tied together in the route. And then you want to chunk it up into pieces. Do you use directives? Do you use subcomponents? Do you use ng-include? And directives by themselves, great. Should I use a directive with isolated scope or inherited scope? All this stuff that ended up being a whole bunch of mediocre, people are just doing it differently and bad patterns, whatnot, component just gives you, oh, there's a clear path. I'm just going to only use components. I got no more controllers except for component controllers. Just components all the way down, right? Like turtles.
I like the one-way data bindings with the lifecycle hooks from 1.5 because while there was a time in my life that two-way data binding made me very happy and saved me a lot of code, it also has created some of the hardest bugs for me to track down. So I think that the unidirectional data flow with these lifecycle hooks from 1.5 is my favorite feature. And so there's going to be talk about that because a lot of people don't even know what we're talking about.
Right. Multi-slot transclusion is another awesome feature of 1.5. Love that feature.
It is really great that they keep, and people think that they're sort of, or worry that they're going to abandon the 1x line when people are kind of depending on it, but with the changes that they keep on churning out, I mean, it keeps improving. I did notice, visibly notice some speed improvements with the past 2 versions when I upgraded from 1.3 to 1.5 a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I looked at 1.4 and I thought, hey, this is a great product. I just can't think of another enhancement that really truly needs to be made. And then 1.5 came out, bam, and it had tons of really great enhancements. My favorite release ever. And so Angular 1 is really getting better and better. In fact, I just built a project with Angular 1.5 and an Angular Fire on the back end, and I had so much fun. It was so cool. It was so easy to throw it together. It was so slick. I really got back into my love of Angular 1.
Peter Bacon-Darwin, man.
Yep, he's a stud.
Give him the reins, and he just turns it all magical on you.
Yep, so true.
Okay, I have a question. How come you guys decided to make the conference bigger this year? And how are you dealing with that? Because it's almost double the size, right? Yep. Or maybe, yeah.
Size is the easy part. That was nothing.
So we actually, in the first 2 years, I mean, Carmen, you know this. We love the community, and we love ng-conf. And we put a lot of our heart into it, but sometimes we catch a lot of crap for not going big, specifically, is one of the things that we've been really kind of harshly criticized on. So we knew this year we needed to try and go bigger, and we had a space that let us double the size. The Angular team, the first few years, the Angular team was the ones who didn't want to go bigger. And the reason is because they absolutely love getting to meet and talk to everyone. And it's hard enough to do with 700 people. It's going to be even harder to do with 1,400 people. But that was their main concern, was it's very quaint. I feel like everyone gets to meet an Angular member. Everyone gets to talk to us with 700 people. Going much bigger is going to hurt it. But we convinced them the community is ready for a bigger conference. It's grown to the point where it needs to go bigger. So that was why we went bigger. Is that a good enough answer? Right?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
But
it's also important to note there that there's a lot of challenges with going bigger that aren't necessarily just about, hey, we're going to have twice as many people, so it's twice as hard to plan. That's not quite true. It's more about finding a venue that works, right? That's actually really hard. There's not a lot of venues that work for groups in between 500 and 5,000. Once you get over 5,000, there's a lot of convention centers. But a convention center is a really crummy place to have a conference for a few hundred people or 1,500 people, right?
Rubbish, yeah.
When you have 100,000 people, convention centers are great. But for a few hundred people, it feels like you're in somebody's warehouse in a corner of it, and there's a bunch of other stuff going on, right? We hated that. We always hated the idea that ng-conf would be held somewhere where it wasn't the only thing going on. We didn't want people walking by and seeing other conferences, other events going on. We wanted people to feel like if I see somebody in the hallway and I talk to them, they're here for the same reason I'm here. We love that part of ng-conf. So we always try to find a venue that fits ng-conf perfectly, and we fit it in perfectly. So that's actually one of the big challenges to changing the size of ng-conf, was just finding a good venue for it.
Yeah, and we didn't look just in Utah. We looked other places this time. We looked up in the mountains in Utah at the ski resorts. We looked anywhere we could go bigger, and we ended up with a super posh venue. I think we made the right decision, and scaling the decisions I think is easier. Just picking more speakers. Faraday for us though, this year would have been the easiest year yet if we didn't do Faraday. This year would have been like, hey, do the same thing we did the last 2 years, make it even better. So it's just been like, do the same thing you did already, make it better though, which we got make it better coming out our ears, so we could just do that. But the Faraday thing is like, that was the challenge this year by far. How do we scale Faraday? And like at any moment on Faraday, there's going to be food everywhere. Like it's going to be like an actual fair where there's nachos here, stroopwafels there, donuts over there,
Fried Twinkies.
Fried Twinkies over here. I mean, it's going to be like an actual fair. There's triple wrapped bacon, bacon wrapped in bacon, wrapped in bacon.
And we need to go on a diet before this thing.
Yeah, seriously. So it's gonna be insane, and scaling that was the hard part this year. Figuring out all the talks, what's gonna keep people entertained, what's like actually pertinent versus fun, because we also need to have a lot of fun, and how you balance that, stuff like that.
I do have a
That was the
question,
hardest
though,
part this year, I think, before.
I do have a question though about the food and the scale there. What steps are you guys taking this year to avoid mass food poisoning? You guys have a history of poisoning the community, and I wanted to get an understanding of what your steps are taking.
Will you be sure and tweet that out? You have a history of poisoning the community.
That's actually going to be on our website next year, ng-conf.
Poisoning the community. That's our subtitle.
Hey, I sent proof that I survived.
One thing that's important to note is, as far as the food poisoning goes, as of yet there's been zero evidence that there was actually food poisoning involved. What we had, it looks like, was the stomach flu. And just to give you a real reason why we think that is, a guy that lives in my neighborhood, his wife was puking her guts out 3 days after ng-conf. She never went to ng-conf. His daughter doing the same thing. So we had people that got it that never, from attendees. So we definitely had the flu going, stomach flu going around. We did a huge thing with the hotel. They brought in people. We went through a whole process. They have this whole process when there's any potential of food poisoning, because when you're a hotel, especially a high-end 4-star hotel like the Little America, Grand America, there's a ton that they go through whenever it's like, uh-oh, there might have been food poisoning. They go through a whole process. So they went through a whole process. We had one guy that was absolutely sure that it was food poisoning and not stomach flu, but so we always were worried about the flu. So last year, what we did is we did these little what were they?
ng-conf hand sanitizer.
Yeah, ng-conf hand sanitizers. So that's what we did last year to try to ward off the flu and keep that out of ng-conf that last year. And we haven't talked about it this year about the whole norovirus thing. It's famous for cruise ships too. You get a bunch of people in a small space for a few days. One of them comes in with the stomach flu, and that's it.
One thing, you mentioned the hotel staff there, and I have to say that, I mean, it's weird to say this because I don't usually think about the hotel staff at the venue, but I do think that, especially the first year and last year as well, that the venue and the staff within the hotel was really, really good. I can't remember the specific things that went on, but there was a number of times I just remember thinking when something came up and they kind of went over and above to accommodate like kind of everybody who was at the conference. So I don't know if things are going to change at the Grand America now that if that's more uppity or whatever, but hopefully that'll be the same.
First of all, I call them uppity to their face too. The hotel, the staff should be the same. We're confident that the staff will be fine. This year we've got with the staff. I mean, we've got better plans for if anyone gets sick, they just tell us, and we're their nurse. We'll take them to the hospital. We'll help them find a doctor. So we kind of understand it better this year than we did the first year, where it totally caught us off guard. So if anyone, I mean, I hope this goes without saying, but if anyone got uncomfortable, whether it was food or a harassment policy violation or anything, you just come get us and we help make it better.
Right.
Joe, just basically thinking of Joe as your mom away from home.
Right.
And that's how I think of Joe. And when we spoon, but Joe will take care of anyone who needs help, or and we're all there. So if anyone's not comfortable, sick or otherwise, you just come tell us, and us or one of the team members will help.
And we're always trying to find venues when we do events that have good staff, right, that take care. And as of yet, we haven't, even though we've worked with a lot of venues and a lot of different staff, as of yet, this has always been the best staff, is the staff at the Little America, and the Grand America is run as essentially the same company. They're almost like two different towers in the same hotel, essentially. So we actually have a lot of people that are staying at the Little America, even though the event's at the Grand America, because they're like 50 meters from each other. So yeah. we've always been pleased with the staff, especially the ground staff. You know, the people that are there helping out. They've always been great and always been good to our attendees. So we hope that continues to go on at the Grand America. We expect that for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to mention really quick, I forgot to mention at the top of the show that if anybody who's watching live has a question for Joe or for Aaron, just tweet with the hashtag NGAIR, NGAIR, and we'll answer it at the top of the hour. So one thing I'm really curious, I actually have like a dozen other questions here of like various things I'm kind of interested in from you guys. So the talks are 20 minutes, a lot of them, some of the keynotes are longer. What's the penalty for going over the 20 minutes? Is Aaron set to like tackle people off stage? What's going to happen here?
I really hope that this happens because Aaron will be on stage.
So I'll tell you this. And this is a warning to the speakers. We had people go over in the past. They're no longer allowed to speak at ng-conf. Like, it's a very delicate schedule with the breaks in between. It's a very, very tight. If I gave someone an extra 5 minutes, I've got to take 5 minutes away from someone else.
Right.
And that's not something that we can. I'm not willing to do that. So the speakers and they get lots of emails. Jeff, just knowing, and I mean you know this, where we tell them, you're done. There's a timer in front of you. You get 1 extra minute before Aaron walks on the stage, and then 2 minutes. Aaron turns your mic off. So it's. I wouldn't actually probably turn someone's mic off, but I would definitely be on the stage hugging them, massaging their shoulders, encouraging them to hurry up.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, it is absolutely important to us because, one, we have very little time in between talks, and it really is a matter of if a speaker goes long, they're basically saying that they believe that what they have to say is more important than the next guy, and that their message is more important, that they're more important. We don't like that, right? We have tight talk schedules compared to lots of other conferences, short talks, but it also gives a good challenge. We can get through a lot more material. People have to focus and get to what the core of what they're talking about is. I remember one talk came in and he wanted to do a 20-minute talk. We came back to him and said, we like your talk, but we can only give you 5 minutes. Can you make it happen in 5 minutes? And he really didn't want to, and we had to talk to him and say, look, it's a challenge, we know, but you've got an awesome message that we want to have out there. We need you to do it in 5 minutes. And he finally agreed, and so I'm sure it'll be an awesome talk. But the time is tight, and we fully believe that every message that we have up on that stage is just as important as the next message, whether it's about Angular 2, Angular 1, or not even Angular related at all, a soft skills talk. Soft skills talk picking was one of my favorite parts of picking talks, is looking at, we had a ton of really awesome submissions, and that was, for me, some of the hardest stuff to only pick a certain number of. And so the ones that we have, I'm really excited about. These are all important topics, and we feel absolutely like that. We want the speakers to respect each other and each other's time.
So
yeah.
You send a lot of emails to speakers. Can you tell us a bit about how you help them prepare their talk? Because I think it's the only conference I've been to that helps the speakers so much?
So, the Angular team taught this to us, by the way. They asked us to get speaker coaches, professional speaker coaches for all the speakers. And so we hadn't really thought about that in years past, but this year, and another thing we hadn't done in years past is require people to be done with their talks a week or two ahead of the conference. And so this year we're like, we want your slides 2 weeks before. We had a slide issue in the past, so we needed to make sure the slides they follow the code of conduct. And so we got that, and then we also got a speaker coach who, I mean, based off some tweets I saw from Taro and a couple other speakers, it's been really, really helpful. So
yeah, she's really good. I had my session with her, Patrick and I did last week, and I actually didn't have high expectations going because you never know with this type of thing. But
yeah.
she like immediately right off the bat, she watched the video of our practice session, and she picked out like a half a dozen things that were actually like totally legit that helped us.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good to know because we were the same as you. The Angular team suggested we didn't know what to expect, but the preliminary like feedback from the speakers has been, this is really helpful. Taropa said, this is probably going to be my best talk I've ever given, which is insane when you consider how good his past talks have been. I'm excited to see what this talk like comes out like, and I've actually seen a sneak preview, so that mixed with a speaker coach, it's probably going to be amazing.
Right.
I can only imagine. So yeah, that's one of the things. Joe, what else?
For helping out, we try to give a little bit more direction up front, but also one of the things that we offered was to give people feedback when they got rejected, right? So that I know that it can be really troubling as when you submit talks, because I've gotten far more rejections than I've gotten approvals for submissions to talk at a conference. And you always want to know what is it that conference organizers are looking at, and each conference organizer is different, right? For some cases, we had to tell people, sorry, we actually loved your talk, it's just the topic itself didn't fit in, or you had the exact same topic as somebody else, and between the two, they went out and neither talk was significantly superior. We almost practically had to toss a coin. So sometimes you have to give feedback like that, which we know isn't necessarily very useful. But sometimes we can give them lots of feedback like, your grammar was bad. We're always looking for really flashy talks with fun titles. So we could let them know your title was a little bit too boring for us. We were looking for something with a little bit more fun. So John Papa's an Angular 2 Force Awakens. That's one of those ones that just jumps out. Even if we have no idea that it's John Papa, we see that title, we're like, that's a talk I think we want, and that automatically goes to the next round.
Yeah. Another thing that I've spoken at a couple conferences, and one thing that a conference has never done is having office hours to talk about submitting a paper,
right?
Like a call for paper. So we actually held a call for paper office hours where, because dude, I mean, I totally get the wanting to speak at a big cool conference, and we knew that there's a lot of amazing developers that we're gonna want in, and we wanted to give everyone the best shot that they could, specifically people who have never spoken at conferences before, and so we had an office hours where Joe and I just told everyone pretty raw what we were going to say, like what we were going to base our decisions on, and what you should do to have a better chance. So, I mean, I think we excelled well, and I feel like, because there's that tiebreaker that Joe's talking about when there's two talks that are like the same, and we're like, dude, these are the same talks. They both sound the same good. I feel like the way we break a tie adds a lot of value to the community, and so we try a couple powerful things to help those tiebreakers end up like helping the community. So yeah.
And we always want to come up with more ways to help speakers. I really like the speaker trainer, because that way, if you have something really awesome to say, but maybe you don't have a lot of experience, then we can help get you that. In fact, we offered the speaker trainer for a certain number of hours and more if this is your first time at a big conference. But we're always looking for ways to improve and help people have better talks.
So we're getting near the top of the hour, and I want to get through a couple more things that I think are really interesting here. So let's do a lightning round, of, just getting some like quick feedback from you guys. And I'm going to start off. Actually, I want both the panelists and our guests here to answer this one. What's your favorite ng-conf memory so far? So let's Aaron hit you up first.
ng-watt.
Okay.
That was my favorite by far. I was sitting between Brad and Mishko, and I was already probably going to pass out from laughing, but being between them, they were passing out, which made me laugh even harder. ng-watt was probably my favorite moment at any conference I've ever been to ever. Like, he was just live. Like, you go back and watch it, it's good. Live was absolutely untouchable. So that's my ng-watt.
Carmen, what about you?
Oh wow, that's hard. No, it was definitely last year when Micha was preparing his talk, and then I was there with him and Andrew and Pavel, and then we were all just talking. It's like the night before his talk was happening, and we were just trying to put something up together, and it was really fun. It was really, really cool. Yeah, I guess that.
Yeah, Carmen, I hear you there. I find that the conversations that you have with the other people there is usually one of my favorites as well. Just the interactions with people from the community, people that that are active and contributors. That's always a lot of fun. Joe, what about you?
Mine would actually be the StarCraft tournament from last year. We flew in that professional caster, and we had this tournament, and it was, oh my gosh, it was so funny. And I'm so disappointed we didn't record it. So this year we're definitely going to record it. We might actually live stream it. I'm not sure if we will live stream it. We would definitely record the games that happen in the caster, and that was my favorite by far, which is funny. Has nothing to do with Angular.
You should stream on Twitch, I think.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Olivia, what about you?
I don't know. This is my first ng-conf.
All right.
So this year is definitely my favorite.
Finding out that he got to go, that was his favorite ng-conf memory.
Yep.
For me, there was a lot of different things. Some of the stuff you guys mentioned, ng-watt was great, but I'll mention one thing that hasn't been mentioned so far. Actually, Joe, your daughter's talk was actually, I thought, really, really great. I was like amazed that a teenager was speaking in front of this huge crowd and having such an amazing talk, especially because I have two daughters. I was thinking a lot about teaching my own daughters programming and everything like that. I think it was really inspiring, and it was a non-technical talk, right? Like she was talking about her experiences. So that was one of my favorites. I had a lot of favorites, but it was definitely
Cool. That's cool.
Okay, so prizes. Give us a couple examples of some of the things that people can expect, because prizes are one of the awesome things at ng-conf. Like, you guys give away so much stuff. I don't think people even realize. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So, yeah, I'll talk about that. I was in charge of prizes this year. Joe helped me finish.
As is most years. Every year.
Yeah.
Aaron, I think you're cutting out there.
Yep. We don't hear you anymore.
Lost your mic. Your mic's like cutting in and out.
Nope.
No bueno. You're like, what?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
No prizes.
Okay. Yeah, so there's no prizes this year. That's what I was trying to say. No, so I've been the prize guy every year, and the amount of money we budget for prizes is not insignificant. And it's actually harder to spend than you'd think. And so we actually put a lot of thought into it, with making sure that, because the first time we made a list, it's just a bunch of dude prizes that guys are gonna want, and so we're like, okay, let's take some of these off the list, get some more cool unisex tech stuff, and we try to end up with some cool prizes that the idea is that everyone goes home from ng-conf with a new shopping list of tech toys that they're going to want to go buy. And I think that we definitely accomplished that this year. We have a lot of really fun things. Are you on specifics though, Jeff?
Well, you got to like whet our appetite here, whet our beaks.
I
can tell you what my favorite one is.
Go ahead.
Lego X-Wing Pose X-Wing.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
the black
awesome.
one. I don't have that one, and that one's on the top of my list for a cool prize.
You know what? You want to see the suitcase I'm gonna bring?
Uh-huh.
Hang on.
Yeah. Let me pull up the prizes and find the favorite one.
And is it empty so you can fill it up?
You could fit a body in it. So
Is that all?
I mean, a lot of things.
Are you preparing to take all the prizes, or
No,
what's
in
the
fact,
idea?
I have to bring my Faraday project, so that's why. But
Right.
In addition to the prizes that Aaron's going to be giving out, there is a ton of swag. So like all the vendors that come there usually have really great stuff. Like I remember last year even just having like 20 different T-shirts, like all sorts of different stuff, just from the vendors.
Yeah, we got to do something cool this year we hadn't done before. We let people pick like their main swag item when they register.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
That's going to be a lot of fun, by the way. We let everyone pick between a hoodie, a polo, a soccer jersey, or a laptop bag, and they're all pretty awesome. So I think people are going to be really glad they got it. Okay, I'm gonna say a couple of the prizes. Is that cool?
It's cool with me.
So there's the Rift 6 Cube, which is a pocket projector that has its own battery, so you can just turn your phone into a projector anywhere you go. It's pretty cool. We've got the Huawei watch, because that's like the coolest new Android watch. It's pretty powerful. We've got, for anyone who's a fan of Razer, the computer maker, we've got some sick chrome and mechanical keyboards. We've got the GoPro Hero Session. It's like the new GoPro. And then the one that I hope that I draw my name is I got the Eggtastic, which is microwavable eggs. You make your eggs in the microwave. So.
Okay.
So we got the Eggtastic. We got a couple Eggtastics as well, is what I'm trying to say. And
is there a prize for everyone, or?
No. I mean,
you have to be special to win that.
There is a goodie bag, right?
Only a couple people are going to get the Eggtastic, like the best ones. We have enough prizes to get double digits worth of attendees will get prizes. I mean, as far as percent, double digits of percents. Like the percentage of people getting it will be high. It'll be fun.
Cool.
But if you're watching this and I call your name and you don't absolutely celebrate your prize,
Yes, you have to. They have to.
No, I'm gonna be pissed because
people have lost prizes.
People have lost prizes in the past, so be pumped. Don't just like raise your hand when I say your name and like wave at me.
There should be a punishment or something for people that don't freak out when they hear their name.
I know. There is shoot the speaker outside, right? The game where people can fall into the water, right?
Yeah, dunk tank.
Dunk tank. Yeah.
Yeah. You should put people who don't celebrate in the dunk tank.
You can have your prize, but you have to go in the dunk tank first.
All right, so and one of the things with talks when you're giving a talk is that's good to do is to focus on the one thing you want people to walk away from that your presentation thinking about. So for this conference as a whole, what's like kind of the one thing that you guys, Joe and Aaron, want people walking away from it thinking?
I've got my idea.
I got my idea. Go, Aaron.
So, I have a couple friends. And that's all. I only have a couple. No, I have a couple friends who have switched to. They've ventured into React, and the ones I respect the most. Both of them have come back to me and said, "Hey, one thing that the Angular team, the Angular community got right is the community. Well, the one thing the Angular team did right was the community. Like, I'm over in React, and the community doesn't even compare to what the community in Angular is doing, and it's not nearly as welcoming. And there's no way that the code behind the community is what's doing that. So I give mad respect to the Angular team, Brad Green specifically. His managerial skills are absolutely off the charts. You can tell he's walked among giants with the amount of poise he's got. But the thing that I want people to know is the coolness about Angular is it's you. It's the community. It's not the JavaScript or the TypeScript. It's not that we make directives, or I don't even care the thing you want to pick up. It's the community. And so I think that's what we've got. That's the kind of speakers we try and harbor and promote. And I think the Angular team is the one leading by example in that area. So yeah.
That's a good answer. Joe, what do you think?
You're going to laugh at this. That was exactly the same thing that I was thinking. I want people to come away with the message that the Angular community is awesome.
Yeah.
It's so true. The community is just a great community. Big, yet as tight-knit as it could possibly be. Very positive overall. And it's a fun community.
So, like, you know how, Jeff, you don't know this because you're up in Boston, but the rest of us root for an American football team that's not the best, okay? But we still love them, and we want them to be the best, and we root for them, right? But you never know if they actually are the best. And so, like, when you're a fan of Angular, you're like, do I think it's the best because it is the best, or am I just, like, drinking the Kool-Aid? And I think that from the feedback I'm hearing around different communities, I honestly think that the community around Angular it's the best, man. There's no really discussing it anymore. No one can really compete with it, and it does have a little bit to do with the tech. I'm not gonna lie, I can see some correlation, but it also has to do with the people. So it's awesome. The Angular community is awesome,
Cool.
and
Go
people should recognize that before they start flaming and stuff like that, because they're representing the whole community.
Yeah.
Don't be a troll.
Don't be a troll.
All right, that's a good note to end on. Let's get to our picks. So, Olivier, why don't you start off?
I have no idea. I was late all day.
Why don't you pick your workshop?
Yeah, okay. So on Friday, I'm going to do my Ask Me Anything question, the NGR live, not live show, my Faraday project, which is a cool smart mirror you're going to see, and my workshop on how to write libraries for Angular 2. So this workshop is at the same time as the one on server-side rendering. So I know that maybe it seems cooler, but I think that this is going to be really useful to a lot of people, because it's in fact kind of hard to write a library in TypeScript and deliver it to other people through NPM and expect it to work on different setups. So I think it's going to be useful to some people. So come to my workshop.
Cool.
Awesome.
Nice. Carmen, what about you?
Okay, so I have two picks. One is actually the Mozilla docs for JavaScript in general. So for all the references, like function references. Every time I stumble upon them and I read through them, and then I always remember, oh, this is actually so good and it's so complete and the examples are so good. So always check the docs before. So that's one. And the second one is, let me find it. Okay, so I've been doing a bit of reading about neural networks and deep learning recently. And there's an article, it's kind of an online book that I'm reading currently. It's a book written by Michael Nielsen. It's called Neural Networks and Deep Learning. It's really, really good as a starter into the subject. He explains very nicely about the types of neurons and how they work and how you can think about it. It's very hard. There's a lot of math in it, so be prepared for that, but it's very, very, very cool. So yeah, these are my picks.
That's awesome. I actually did my college thesis on neural networks, and like I hated the math part of it, but like the just concepts of it like always amaze me, and I do like reading stuff related to it. So I'll definitely check that out.
It's awesome. It's super interesting for me, and there's a lot. There's really a lot. It's cool.
Cool.
For me, I just have one pick. I found this really well. My coworker told me about this really awesome website called the ng-conf. Basically, it was awesome for my presentation because if you're just thinking about you need an icon of something, like some silly concept or whatever. You type it in and it's much better than like doing a Google image search. It like actually shows you like something like this little tiny icon that like totally represents exactly what you're thinking about. It's actually pretty awesome. So definitely check that out, the nounproject.com. All right, Aaron, how about you?
I'm going to do 2 picks. I just finished a book that was super interesting. It's called Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman. And it's a book written by Richard Feynman, who is a Nobel Prize winner. He was one of the physicists that worked on the atomic hydrogen bomb, and he lived an absolutely interesting life, and he loved, like from what I can tell, every different thing he ever found, and it was a very, very interesting book. If anyone's looking for something slightly sciencey but very interesting, check it out. Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman. And then I'm going to pick ng-lightning, which is Salesforce's component library written in Angular 2. It's very, very cool, very, very slick, and I think it's probably going to be pretty popular among the Angular community going forward. So those are my 2 picks.
It's like UI components, like Wichimo or something?
Yep. Written by the Salesforce guys. They seem super, super legit.
Cool. Joe.
All right, so I'm going to have 2 picks, too. My first pick is going to be Build-A-Bear. My wife recently, for my birthday, or maybe it's an early Father's Day gift, I'm not sure, got me a Build-A-Bear. It was an Ewok. And it even has the little Ewok sounds, and it's totally awesome. And I can neither confirm nor deny that there may be Build-A-Bear prizes at ng-conf. But I think it's a cool company, and I have, personally, I have 3 Build-A-Bears that I built. And so I'm going to pick Build-A-Bear. And then my second pick is going to be Aaron Frost, because he is one humble son of a gun. He mentioned a little bit earlier that he spoke at a couple of conferences. He forgot to mention that he's keynoted at a couple of conferences, including FluentConf. So Aaron is an amazing speaker and an amazing keynoter, and I've had several conversations about conferences where there's discussions as to, hey, maybe we should have a keynote. Who would be good? And Aaron Frost's name comes up very frequently. He's an amazing speaker and has even put together talks and given them to other people, and they've been awesome talks. So I'm going to pick Aaron, specifically his speaking, conference speaking, because he's an excellent conference speaker. So that's my final pick.
Yeah,
Can't let you just sit back there and be humble.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, Joe.
I loved Aaron's keynote actually at NGNL on building bridges. That was one of my favorites. So
I'm already red, but I'm turning redder, I promise.
So we talked about a lot of stuff today. Definitely tune in next week for ng-conf and the live, not live Angular Air. There's just going to be a ton of content, a ton of things to talk about. The week after, we're going to have a wrap-up show, just the panelists just talking about what they saw and experienced and did. So just a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. Get ready.
Can I ask you a favor?
Yeah.
I want everyone to say hi to Matt Condi.
Hello.
He's my friend.
Hey.
He helped build the ng-conf website this year. So
Oh, nice.
he's a pretty awesome developer.
I
So,
can't actually hear any of you guys, so.
yeah. He's not hearing it, but anyway.
Cool.
We're going to go
Bye.
grab some wings.
Nice. All right, guys. Have a good day. See ya.
Thanks.
See ya.
See ya.